Good evening, and welcome to another one of my episodes of A Verse a Day Keeps Islam Away. Before we start, today's subject is going to be extremely disturbing. It's disgusting. It will infuriate a lot of people. However, I will be giving references to every single thing I say today. Now, the references that I'll be using for the most part of today's episode is from As-Sirah, As-Sunnah. As you know, Islam is composed of several components. You have Al-Quran, you have Al-Hadith, the sayings, the narrations, and then you have As-Sunnah, Al-Sirah, which is the path, the way that Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, lived his life. The path which he has taken, and like the name, the Sunni Muslims, that is the path that they ought to follow. Now, I understand, and there's going to be a lot of issues with this video because a lot of these references are actually being disputed every single day. But now, al-fuqaha, the Muslim scholars, they're going through all of those, and they've been pretty much just chopping them off, saying, okay, this never existed, this never happened, this never happened. Okay, now let's get started. Today's episode is going to be about paraphilia. I'm going to show you how Muhammad, and Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, was a paraphilia. Paraphilia is a psychosexual disorder. It's marked by extreme sexual urges and fantasies and behaviors that involve objects, suffering, humiliation, children, and other non-consenting partners, if you may. I'm going to have to apologize in advance. Almost none of these books have been translated into English or any other language because you'll see why they have not been translated. So all the titles, everything is in Arabic. So here's what I'm going to do. I will reference everything and I will put the references on the side. On the side of this video, actually it should be right here to the left. The first thing I'd like to talk about is how Muhammad used to, as they put it, suck the tongues of others. It is written in إعانة الطالبين لأبي بكر الدمياطي, Volume 2, page 231, that Muhammad used to suck the tongue of his wife Aisha. You know what? That's fine. Sucking the tongue of your wife, that's not a big deal. Let's keep going. Musnad Ahmed bin Hanbal, Volume 4, page 93. And it talks about seeing the Prophet Muhammad sucking the tongue of Al-Hasan bin Ali. Al-Hasan bin Ali is obviously a man. It's a male. So here we have him also sucking the tongue, or French kissing, or whatever you'd like to say it was, of another man. It is listed again in a different location, this one in Tarikh Medina Dimashq lil Hasan ibn Hibatullah, Volume 14, page 169, where here it says, Muhammad would suck the tongue of Al-Husayn bin Ali just like a boy would suck a date. Fayd al-Qadir lil Manawi, Volume 5, page 249. Here it talks about Muhammad, where he would suck the tongues of those who were halal to him, his women, and those obviously whom his right hand possessed. But also, it talks about him sucking the tongue of his daughter, Fatima. Moving on to the next topic. Boobies. Breasts. Bihar al-Anwar lil-Baqari, Volume 43, page 42, and Munaqib al-Abi Talib li-Ibn Shahr Ayyub, Volume 3, page 114, and Al-Lam'a al-Bayda للتبريزي الأنصاري, page 53, where it talks about the Prophet Muhammad used to not be able to go to sleep every day until he would place his face into his daughter Fatima's chest and rub and kiss between her breasts. The third thing I'd like to go to is Aisha, where he married her at the age of 6 and took her at the age of 9. And if we want to discuss, if we want to talk about that, this is located, actually this is in Hadith as well. Sahih al-Bukhari, volume 5, page 1973, where it does talk about, him marrying her at 6 and taking her at 9. However, I'd like to talk about him liking even younger girls. In Musnad Ahmad bin Hanbal, volume 6, page 338. Al-Rasul, the Prophet Muhammad, had entered upon their house and saw the daughter of Abbas. And upon seeing her, and she was at the age of weaning. Okay? The Prophet Muhammad had said that if she were to become of age, when she becomes of age and if he were still alive, he wants to marry her. So here's a baby at the age of weaning, and he's looking at her and saying, once she's a little more mature, I want her. Moving on to the next one is مجمع زوائد للهيثمي, volume 4, page 276. And again in Sunan Sa'id bin Mansur, volume 2, page 123. And it talks about Muhammad having a concubine who had a daughter at the age of weaning. He once picked up this girl who was naked, and as he held her in his arms, he realized there was a desire, a lust within him. The last subject I'd like to go to is, as if it hasn't been bad enough, is necrophilia. These 6 different people had referenced the same story. Now again, if it could have been a rumor, passed on from one person to the other, but I'm just telling you what is written. كنز العمال للمتقي الهندي, volume 13, page 274, and the story of Al-Hajjah في بيان المحجبة لأبي القاسم الأصبهاني, volume 1, page 488. Here it talks about Al-Rasul, Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, having taken off his robe and placing it upon Ali, the mother of Ali. And then he proceeded to lay with her in her grave. Now, as the soil started falling back to the grave, his followers noticed it, and surprisingly they asked him and said, "O Prophet of God, you are doing something we have never seen you do before." To which he answered that he clothed her with his robe so that she may have something heavenly to wear. And he اضطجع معها, he slept with her, he lay with her, in order to lessen the pains of the grave. Because whenever you're buried, there's pains that you experience, apparently. This was mentioned 6 times. However, the whole topic of necrophilia, the whole topic of being able to sleep with a dead woman, وطء الميتة, is actually mentioned 16 different locations in 16 masadir, 16 references, such as Hawashi Sharwani, volume 1, page 263. The funny thing is, I think we've all heard the story of how after a man performs the ablution, al-wudu, there are 3 things that if he touches, it will make him unholy, unclean, and he must clean himself again for prayer, which is a black dog, a donkey, and a woman. However, in these references, it talks about وطوء الميتة. If you lay with a dead woman, it does not make you unclean. Your salah will be accepted because you're clean. However, you become najas. You become dirty and vile if you touch a living woman.